Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. CT5 coming at you. Um, figured, I was thinking about this the other day, and I figured, okay, I might touch on another one of the, um, I guess you could call it a saying from Mythbusters. And Jimmy Heineman and Adam Savage and the others, the original generation. Um, they had a saying of sorts that said, using tools and materials in ways for which they were never intended. In this context, this particular discussion, um, talking about really coping mechanisms and things that are used to keep the disabilities at bay, I guess. Um, Not only physically, but also psychologically, emotionally. Um, what are some things that are useful for you, and maybe some physical tool or psychological tool that's used in one way but not another that help you manage? Some of mine are fairly obvious, I guess you could say. Managing the epilepsy, well, that's a dead giveaway. There's no means about it other than medicines because it's all in my head. Uh, and the cerebral palsy, well, music is one way of you can't really manage that one because that one's physical. It's not in CP in my case. And in many other cases, it's not. It is known as a non-degenerative condition. In other words, it doesn't get worse as you age. In my case, I've been able to overcome with my right hand and my right wrist at least music because I've been a guitarist for almost 29 years. So come next year, that'll be about 30 years that I've been a guitar player. For me, I think writing and melody and lyric and just being creative in whatever way possible helps me manage it and being able to honestly talk about it as well. Because when you're not honest with yourself, you tend to deviate from the reality of having any disability whatsoever. An acquaintance of mine whose mind went astray, for lack of a better term, when they were at a younger age and they were trying to fit into the quote unquote normal crowd. For us who had grown up with a disability, that's the only normal we knew. And what's normal for us is completely abnormal for somebody else. And so some people kind of fake it till they make it, and with certain disabilities, you can't do that. Cerebral palsy being one of them. Depending upon the severity, case it's not really that obvious that I have cerebral palsy, but it's obvious enough that, as mentioned prior in prior videos, construction is one thing that I cannot accomplish. And many projects that are involved in construction, I can do demolition and cleanup and painting, but that's pretty much it. However, those are very useful, but not as useful as drywall, plumbing, and things that are necessary to, to maintain a house like that. So the psychological tools that I use, primarily music and writing and just being creative in any way that I can possibly think of, it helps keep my mind busy. Not distracted, but busy. And so the busier that you can keep your mind distracted from the disability, but still aware that you have the disability and not pretending that you don't, but realizing that you do and understanding ways to not only manage it, but find your own way to navigate it. The better off that things are going to become. Once again, I always welcome comments and questions of any kind on the channel itself, and I'm more than happy to talk with any of you that are willing to talk with me on the video platforms available. So if you would please give this video a like and share and subscribe to the channel itself for more content of this nature. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, just let me know, and we'll kind of get these conversations, get these mini conversations rolling of ours, and possibly, get a sort of, I guess you could call it a quote unquote movement started of being able to, acceptance is it's a rough thing, and so my goal is to help people um, be be as accepted as everyone else. If you don't want to be neglected by the rest of society, and people are going to disagree, but sometimes you have to learn, and God forbid, uh, it's the wrong way. But accepting a disability early on is a better thing to do than later, and it's a lot easier when you're younger, especially with the right guidance in place. But anyway, once again, really appreciate your time and patience. Please like and subscribe. And this is CT5 signing off until next time. Thank you.